Hello and welcome to the show. It's Christmas time, which means it is time for Kittens getting into trouble with a Scaletrix set. In fact, it is the first time that my kittens have seen Scaletrix. Eve was immediately interested in the box. Yes, in fact, Eve was much more interested in the box and playing with the cardboard. It's a typical cat thing. Than when it came to the Scaletrix set itself. But yes, while building, she was happy getting around there. Amara is here investigating stuff. Zeke is sat in the middle of the circuit, and Cass was kind of minding his own business for now. So, set up a nice, straightforward. It's about the only thing I could get. In the typical Scaletrix experience, it's not Scaletrix unless half the pieces of track don't work properly, so you have to make do with the bits that are good. And that's about an oval, that's what I can come up with. From the stuff I have at the moment. Either way, this is the very first time the kittens themselves had seen Scaletrix. Amara and Cass have played with it before, but Zeke and Eve had not seen it. I was apparently sliding. I wanted to do slidey TBRs around here. Amara was immediately getting her tail in the way. Zeke was very curious about the car, but not quite decided on how he was going to hunt it yet. Eve is normally the troublesome one. Eve is normally the first to explore. She's climbed in the fridge before. Yes, I mean actually properly into the fridge before. And she was not the most interested or keen about the Scaletrix car initially. I mean, of course it makes an odd noise, a funny noise. I also love how when the cats get so used to chasing the car around, as soon as you stop, they also don't really quite know where to look, and just everybody freezes all at once. Amara's just doing donuts in the middle. She keeps putting her tail on the track, which then gets batted by the car, which she is then wants to turn around to see. So it's basically just spinning around in a circle. You can just about see Cass in the distance. Now he's finally decided to come and investigate what on earth is going on. Cass is our very quiet, very shy cat. He can be quite friendly, but most of the time hides when people are around. Surprisingly, isn't terrified of the Scaletrix. He actually is quite into the old Scaletrix. And he's then come and sat with his tail, thankfully on the track that the car isn't driving along, because he probably wouldn't move for it either, because he's a stubborn cat. And now we got back to Amara Donuts in the middle. Zeke is now trying to decide what to do. Eve has seen all the other cats are curious, and now we've got 4 curious kittens watching. Eve is using Cass as like a little shield. She's trying to like duck out from either side of him. I mean, it's one way to go. Zeke has graduated to running around after the car, and actually quite gets difficult to see what's going on with the many cats in the way. Turns out cats are quite interested in Scaletrix. Not quite interested enough to bat it off the track. Cass, a little bit more confused before Cass. He'll just sit there. I'm amazed he wasn't bothered by it whizzing so close to his tail at this point. Zeke is now starting to run around, Amara running after the car, and now we've got cats doing laps of each other, which is going to end for somebody. And now Zeke starts chasing the car himself. Eve has finally come out of hiding down there to have a little bit of an investigate, have a little bit of a watch. Cass, again, surprised. Cass absolutely fine with letting a car go underneath him. Most of them not so happy about that, and I think there's some car turned up outside, and everybody stops to have a look at that. Again, the fun and games of stop the car and see what they do. Amara the bravest at trying to bat at it. Amara is the bravest at trying to bat at the cars. I'm surprised, and I say slightly disappointed, in some ways not, but the cats have never tried to knock the cars off the circuit while they're running. If you stop it, they'll go over to it and give it a sniff and occasionally give it a prod. But when they're actually running, on the most part, they're all very well behaved. I say very well behaved. They'll chase it. They do love a good chase. Eve has come out of hiding from underneath the sofa, needs a little bit of an itch, and Zeke's now decided to try and lie across. They do like to lie on the track for whatever reason. I'm not quite sure. Eve was more interested in going to the camera than to anything else, and in fact often was more interested in the controller I had in my hand than in the actual car. I don't know particularly why. Cass has had enough. It's sleepy time for the sleepy time with the cat. There's no real concern about safety. They will sit right on the edge of the track, and they're fine to sit there. So we've got this little track. This ball in the track runs up and down, and the cats love it. All 4 of them have loved playing with this, especially as kittens. So I got that and stuck it in the middle of the circuit, and Zeke was having a whale of a time. He was in full playful kitten bouncy mode, and playful upside down kitten somehow try and fit into the shape of the track. you know, I'm not I'm not quite sure. Normally it's bat the ball. In this case, it's just try and fit around the tube. So give the ball a little bit of a prod, and then Zeek can play around. It's an easy way to keep cats entertained. I have to say, these little tracks are fantastic for keeping cats entertained. Zeek in the most undignified of ways. Cats are supposed to be elegant. None of ours are. None of the four of them are particularly elegant. I mean, at this particular moment in time, Eve is in a more sleepy state. Just to see her poking out. Mara's woken up, having a big old stretch. Still not elegant. And as soon as anybody walk past Zeek in this mode, you're going to get, well, batted at. Now go back to the upside. I mean, we've got upside down kittens. He's a true Failrace cat trying to play with stuff while upside down. And I think that is a sign of a true Failrace cat, which is going to attack the plastic. Zeek is actually really good at pinging off the plastic casing. The number of times he's pinged off the plastic casing and then grabbed the ball out of the tube and run off with it and hidden it is quite high. It's quite high. Eve had taken to sleeping on the wire. Because of course she has any sort of space around here, but no, she wants to have a sleep on the wire. I thought I'd get the Escort Cosworth out. I've got two sort of sets of Scaletrix. All of the cars, amazingly, from these sets, all four of the cars actually work. I've got two TVRs and two Escort Cosworths here. The cars work. The track, I think the track that came with the Escort set doesn't work very well, hence why we're stuck with an oval. Zeek then got very curious about trying to chase the cars, and thus begins, admittedly Zeek does take a shortcut, thus begins the great Zeek versus Escort race around the oval. I might have binned it slightly. It's surprisingly difficult to drive Scaletrix and film at the same time. Especially when it's that said Scaletrix is being chased down by a cat. I wondered if cats might go along and give us a little hand. No, Cass isn't going to give us a hand and putting the car back on the circuit. I'm going to have to do that one myself. Cass was interested as soon as the car fell off, and then typical Cass, tail is in the way, doesn't really want to move it. No, he has no interest in it. Just nope. just gonna have the tail there as he can bump into it. Again, I'm very, very surprised. Normally Cass is the first one to run and hide, but Scaletrix comes out. And he is curious and brave and will sit in front of the car. And once we get it going again, Zeek is back to the great, can we chase down the Escort Cosworth? The answer is, if he doesn't take a shortcut, quite even in terms of speed. Eve was getting a little bit braver. Amara was, I think, sat on a windowsill behind, just kind of watching from afar. She'd run out of Amara energy, I think, or just lazy. Could be just lazy. Zeke's still going. If you want a way to wear out the cats on a Christmas Eve, is when I was filming this, then this is one way to wear out the kittens. They'll normally chase each other around, or you get a jingly ball or something and throw that. But turns out Scaletrix, amazed it doesn't make the kittens dizzy. I would feel like it would make just constant running around in circles, especially when running around in circles on the spot sometimes. But apparently not. No, apparently it's all fine. So yeah, Eve continues to be a little bit on the on the sort of less brave side. As I said, her interest was primarily in the controller. She came over to this a good few times. Not quite. I get various bits. Again, there's a typical Scaletrix smell that goes on when you've been running stuff for a little while, and I think that's what's got the Eve curious. But yeah, she was never the biggest one into chasing after the cars, although standing across the track is always a bad idea. We then got a second car running, wondered what on earth the kittens would do with two. It was one of the closest Eve got to chasing after a car. She kind of got in the way of the TVR a little bit, and then went back to sort of sitting on the sidelines. Cass is again in the grandstand seat on the corner. We were being very careful not to accidentally fire the car off the course up there, as Cass is literally in the dangerous firing line up that part. But yeah, they would sit right on the edge of the circuit, and surprisingly to me, they wouldn't actually bat the cars as they come past. Eve's gone back to hiding under the sofa. At this point in the game, Zeek didn't know which car to chase, and then kept getting surprised when the other one suddenly got collected. He would focus on chasing after the TVR, for example, and as the cars would, go to different parts or different distances and so on, he would pounce at the TVR and then not suddenly expect the escort to appear, because I kind of fair enough. This was part of the experiment. What on earth would the kitten do with a second car? And he did. Yeah, did not do a good job of keeping track of both of them, and Eve went back to her comfy and much safer viewing platform. Cass was, he's fine. He had a soggy chin because he's an incompetent drinker. I don't know why, but yeah, he really struggles to drink from the water bowls without getting a very soggy chin. Amara then came back. Once the two cars were running, she was curious and decided to put her face right in front of the escort, because that's not going to end badly. Cass was again getting closer to the edge of the circuit, trying to get involved here. Yeah, I'm very surprised at the bravery and the lack of batting. I was very much expecting Cats to at some point do some batting off of the circuit, and still none. I don't know what Mara's seen something in a peculiar manner. She's busy watching the TV go around now. The kittens did eventually start running out of energy. They do calm down at some point. It's not the easiest to do, but they do calm down eventually. Amara wants to go for a little bit of a sniff. Cass then starts to get the curious on the can we pounce at the cars. Amara's happy to let the cars go underneath her. They managed to drive through her back legs at that point. She would, again, last time I played with the Scaletrix, they were not very happy the cars went underneath them, but they got fired. Now it's Cass's turn, to want to pounce at something. However, he has a much more efficient technique of stopping the cars racing. You don't need to bat a car off, you've got to time that, you might get hit by it. Instead, what the big fat cat does is wait for there to be an opportunity and then line the road. Yeah, that does kind of do the trick of stopping Scaletrix from going on. Yeah, we'll just lie across the track, and that works perfectly, and then we'll let the cars go, we'll run around, and then we'll move a little bit and continue to line the track. Yeah, well done, Cass. I mean, he's learned, he could certainly figure out how to stop the cars from going. But again, it's kind of the closest they got to actually knocking the cars off. I am surprised it is Cass that was the one I was fully expecting. In fact, I was fully expecting Eve to be the one that was running around and batting at stuff. But yeah, she was sort of more calmly watching. Cass is the closest got to knocking a car off the track. I might have had a little issue with the. Again, as soon as a car goes off, it's just all the kittens have to sit there, stop there, and have a look. Just like everything pauses, and then it was Amara's turn to be the one that got the curious up at the top end of the circuit. Amara got the curious, and though Amara gets the curious in a weird way, yeah, the cats are all that normal. Yeah, Amara likes to play with stuff again upside. They're quite Failrace cats. They are quite Failrace cats, but Amara goes for an upside down bat at the TVR, because what other things could a cat possibly? Again, they're not exactly the most elegant of kittens and cats, are they? There we go. That's the proper. There we are. That's how we play. Although Zeek going over to get in the way as well. So, quick distracto cats going on. Yeah, there we go. Then Amara had enough. Eve tries to trip up Amara, of course, because that's what kittens do. Just generally get in the way. It wasn't long after that where we very much had worn out the kittens. That's Zeek, a very sleepy Zeek. And, well, Eve, typical, as I turned on the camera, Eve was slightly more awake, because that is always the way it goes. Whenever you try and film animals doing something, you can guarantee they won't stay there. Cass was fine. Cass was still full of energy, wandering around. But that's a very sleepy Eve. That's a very sleepy. But yeah, they were fine with sleeping on the track, or climbing across the track. In the end, Eve sort of just tucked herself up on the edge of the circuit. So yeah, I think Scaletrix is a kitten-approved toy. That much is for sure. And while they were lovely and calm sleeping, once I had finished putting the track away, put the living room back to normal with all the cat toys, and Eve was full of energy and batting at everything that came near her, including Zeek. She was upside down batting at the track, and then Zeek saw her batting around, went over to investigate, and he got attacked. So yeah, the sleeping didn't last long. They love this little sort of spring thing we have. Cat and Aurora never really used it, but these two absolutely love it, and especially full of energy, full of energy Eve will love batting and playing around with it. But there we go. That is my kittens. Well, I say kittens. They're now getting on 6 months old. Eve is still tiny. Eve is a tiny, tiny cat. But that is their first introduction to Scaletrix. They seem to thoroughly enjoy it. And Cass and Amaro are really liking playing around with that as well. So can't go wrong with some cats and some Scaletrix. That is going to be it for this video. Merry Christmas to you all, and thank you very much for watching. Until next time, a goodbye.